ChatGPT, AI machines,
satellite, engine ignition,
click here,
and liftoff.
They put off a lot of heat. Bitcoin miners, a lot of heat. I heated my house entirely last winter with the Bitcoin miners. I'm not kidding you.
And how's that air quality? Is that good stuff to breathe in?
I'm still alive.
From Recorded Future News, this is Click Here's Mic Drop, a longer listen to one of our favorite interviews of the week. I'm Dina Temple-Raston. On Tuesday, we looked at Eastern Kentucky's wild economic pivot from coal country to crypto frontier. So today, we talked to one of the people who actually tried to build something in this brave new world, a man who wasn't trying to exploit Kentucky as much as trying to return to it.
If you're going to get the taxpayers of Kentucky to subsidize your electricity, shouldn't you be required to hire X amount of people? Not just say you're going to hire them. Actually hire them.
For this week's Mic Drop, I'm handing the reins over to senior producer Zach Hirsch. Stay with us. I'm Dina Temple-Raston, and this is Click Here's Mic Drop.
We talked to a lot of people while we were reporting in Kentucky. Environmentalists, lawyers, residents, professors, even a finance guy who had a few things to say. But we also wanted to find someone who was trying to get in on Kentucky's Bitcoin boom. Someone who actually saw all those tax breaks, cheap land, and glowing political promises and said, yeah, that's me. Which is how we found Richard Hunter.
One of the reasons that I wanted to mine in Kentucky was because there were subsidies provided by the government, the state government, to subsidize the electrical costs, which Bitcoin's very energy intensive, takes a lot of electricity. And when I heard that they were giving subsidies for Bitcoin mining, I'm like, oh, I've got to get in on this.
Richard mostly grew up in Ohio. He lives there now, in Toledo. But when he heard about the subsidies, he started making plans to set up shop in Kentucky to do Bitcoin mining there. For Richard, this wasn't just a business opportunity. It was a homecoming.
Spent a lot of my youth in a place called Mockingbird Holler in 4 Mile, Kentucky, which is about, an hour north of Knoxville, Tennessee, 2 hours from Lexington, Kentucky.
His great-grandfather ran moonshine. His grandfather was a coal miner, and every summer his dad sent him back from Ohio to visit the hills of Kentucky.
My father wanted my brother and I to know what it's like to be in the hills. And so every summer of my young life, I spent in that holler with my grandmother, my dad's mother. And we ran through the mountains barefooted and collected turtles and was playing in the creek. That was our life. Shot my first squirrel at 7 years old, skinned it, gutted it, and we cooked it. And I ate it. That was the life of a young hillbilly, I guess.
And what is a holler?
What is a holler? A holler is basically a valley. There's one way into it. You're surrounded by mountains. It's a little bit of flat land. If you read it on a map, it will say hollow. But the people who live there will refer to it as a holler.
Back in the early days of crypto, before Bitcoin was a household word, Richard was back in Mockingbird Holler, selling timber. Then he got a call from his 19-year-old cousin, Dylan.
And he says, hey, he goes, would you be cool with me coming and staying with you for the weekend? I'd like to shoot your guns. I'd like to ride your four-wheelers and just hillbilly it up. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's cool with me. I was cool with that. So Dylan shows up. Dylan's a typical 19-year-old college student, partying hard and just blowing off steam. But the weird thing was Dylan just would not shut up about this thing called Bitcoin. I'd never heard of Bitcoin before, had no clue about it. But he was so convinced that it was the future of money, he just couldn't stop talking about it. And at that time, Bitcoin was 7 cents a coin. You know, I mean, literally 7 cents. And, you know, I was in my late 30s at that time, I think. And it's just so hard when you're well into adulthood to listen to a 19-year-old college kid that is partying. And so I just ignored it.
Fast forward a little bit, and Richard was on YouTube, and he saw a video about Bitcoin, which was no longer just 7 cents.
It was $36,000 a coin. And I just about had a stroke.
It's a story as old as Bitcoin itself, missing out on an early price bump, hearing about others getting rich, and then falling down the crypto rabbit hole.
Honest to God, my blood pressure went through the roof. I'm like, because I could have bought it at 7 cents. I could have pulled the money out of my pocket and became a multi-millionaire. And I didn't. And I will forever kick myself. But I thought to myself...
But he also thought,
okay,
maybe it's a sign.
You realize you screwed up. People were talking about Bitcoin someday being worth $1 million plus a coin. I'm like, I am not dropping the ball on this one again.
So he bought a little piece of Bitcoin, just about $5,000 worth. And he started learning about how to mine it himself.
I literally sat there and watched 1 million YouTube videos before I ever bought my first miner.
He started out small, just one old machine.
It was an old antiquated miner. I used that miner for probably 2 months.
Then another.
I felt confident to upgrade to a what I called a big boy miner, a real miner. You know, something that you would see in these mining farms.
And another, until there were 6.
They look like old-fashioned desktop computers, tower computers. And the fans blow over the chips to keep them cool because they're just screaming demons. I used to call my miners my girls, and every morning I'd get up and I'd pour a cup of coffee and I'd go downstairs to see how the girls were doing, you know? And I have 4 cats. I'm a crazy cat guy. And they shed a lot. And right now I have the fans off of my Bitcoin miners because they need to be cleaned out. Not because they're junk, but because the cat hair is getting thick. And that's going to lead to a disaster. You know?
Is there a fire risk?
You know, you're talking about things that did keep me up a few nights. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you're not willing to die in a fire, then you don't belong in the business.
When we come back, Richard tries to take his mining operation to the next level. Stay with us.
ChatGPT, AI machines,
Satellite, engine ignition,
Click here.
and liftoff.
The plan was simple. Start small in Ohio, scale up, and then move the operation to Kentucky for all that cheap power, those tax incentives. Maybe he'd even create some local jobs. But
I was somewhat shocked by how loud it was. It was very loud. You want to know what a Bitcoin miner sounds like? This is a perfect example. It literally sounds like you're blow drying your hair at the highest speed. That's what it sounds like. And think about that times 300 for one shipping container, times 8 or 16. It's going to put out a lot of noise.
Richard already had land in Kentucky where he could have moved the machines to, but it needed to be flat to set up the shipping containers and scale up. And his land was not flat, it was a hollow, or holler. And all those fans to keep the machines cool?
It would have been too noisy for the neighbors. I just didn't want to do that to them. And I just put myself in their position. You know, would it be something that I would be completely okay with if I was the one trying to sleep at 2 a.m. in that hum?
He thought about revenue sharing, buying more land, making it work. But in the end,
I didn't know how long the mines would be running. I didn't know if it would be a year, 10 years, 20. I didn't know. So at the end of the day, I came to the conclusion that if I wanted to do mining in Southeast Kentucky, I would have to buy more property. I'm pushing 60 years old. I don't really know that I want to buy more property in Southeast Kentucky.
He didn't buy more property, and he didn't put shipping containers full of Bitcoin miners on the land he already had in Kentucky. Instead, he went back to Ohio, to his 6 mining machines in the basement. Except his electric bill was through the roof. So these days, the machines are actually off. The price of Bitcoin now hovers around $100,000, but for Richard, it's not enough.
Until Bitcoin gets to about 120 grand. It busted over 100,000 for a minute, and I got all excited. I started talking to my girls. I'm like, it won't be long, girls. You're going to be right back on. And then it just dropped back down.
The basement is quiet, and the dream, not quite dead, but definitely on ice. But Richard still believes in crypto's promise for Kentucky and for people like him.
Doing it right means hiring local people to put the money back into the local economy. Doing it right doesn't mean, once again, exploiting hillbillies. They were made promises. They've always, of course, for the last 100 years, they've been made promises, and the promises have never been kept. But they were told that we're going to disrupt the coal industry, but you're going to get training and you're going to get education. You're going to get all these things. None of that happened. None of it. They never got what was promised to them. It's horrible. It's horrible.
And now?
Now, what do I know? But there are plenty of people in Kentucky that are far enough away where maybe they do deserve to have some type of revenue share to make it worth it for them to have to hear that humming 24/7. I'm not saying that they deserve to have 50 grand a month. That's not what I'm saying. But something, some kind of check that comes every month that says, hey, we really appreciate you being good neighbors. That's just me thinking out loud.
From Recorded Future News, this has been Click Here's Mic Drop. It was written and produced by Megan Dietrich, Sean Powers, Erica Gutta, Zach Hirsch, Lucas Riley, and me, Dina Temple-Raston. It was edited by Karen Duffin. We'll be back on Tuesday with an all-new episode of Click Here. Have a great weekend.